Hello. Welcome, everyone. We are just going to give everybody a minute or two to kind of get settled in. We see lots of people coming in right now. While we're waiting just a minute, if you want to just pop your name of your organization and where you are calling in from in the chat, we'd love to get to know you all a little bit better.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Okay. Oh, lots of people came in. Okay, you know what? We're going to get this started because we've got a lot to cover and we don't want to take too much of your time. So hello again, everybody, and welcome. We're really happy to have you here today. I hope you're all excited to learn a little bit more about Keela. Before we get started, I just want to start the session today by acknowledging that Keela's head office is located in Vancouver, which is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, and give thanks for their generosity and hospitality on these lands and waters. My name is Meredith. I am the head of marketing here at Keela. I am also joined by a few of my lovely colleagues today. Of course, Jason is here. I know you're all excited to hear from him. We also have Stephanie and Stefania who are going to be supporting you in the chat. So feel free to say hello to them, submit any questions that you have in the chat or in the Q&A box at the bottom, and we will answer as many of your questions as we can. If you submitted a question during the webinar registration, we will be covering some of those today, and we will reply via email to any of the questions that we aren't able to get to. So if you are new to Keela, welcome. Keela is a donor management and fundraising platform that brings together all of the essential tools and features that fundraisers need to succeed. Keela is also a certified B Corp, meaning that we prioritize people over profits, and we are driven by a deep commitment to social and environmental responsibility. And on top of all of that, Keela was built by fundraisers for fundraisers. Both myself and Jason were fundraisers before joining Keela, as were many people on the Keela team. And we understand the challenges that you face on a daily basis because we have been there. The team behind Keela has a deep-rooted understanding of the nonprofit sector, and we have channeled that knowledge and experience into creating a platform that caters to your unique needs. Now, I'm going to pass it over to Jason. Jason is a senior account executive here at Keela, meaning that he talks to nonprofits just like all of you every single day to understand goals and challenges and how Keela can help you address them. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jason.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Meredith. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. I hope everyone is able to see this. Firstly, thank you all for joining us today and spending some time to talk about technology. I understand researching tools is not always the most fun task, and I'm here today to walk you through this and show you that technology doesn't have to be hard, difficult, or to create a make work project for you. And that's exactly why we designed Keela, to take work off of your plate so you can spend more time doing what's most important to you, connecting with your supporters, driving your mission forward, and ultimately finding that next major gift donor. So what we're going to talk about today, I just set up a bit of an agenda. I know everyone here is excited to talk about automation. What is AI? How does it affect the nonprofit sector? And what does it mean for me if I join Keela? How is it going to help? So the first thing that we're going to cover is AI-powered contact insights. What all of this information means, how do I make sense of it, and where does it live within Keela? So I'm going to give you a deep dive into that. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is automations themselves. This is a premium feature in Keela, but one that quickly pays for itself in time savings. This is for all of you who might be managing donor journeys, managing volunteer welcome series, or maybe even you're thinking about starting a recurring donation program, but you just don't have the infrastructure in place to steward those donors once they're in the program. So automation can help with all of those things and more. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what those things are. The next thing that we're going to talk about is Keela's forms. All of our forms are optimized for fundraising professionals. We only work in this space. And as Meredith already mentioned, all of these tools are going to help make your lives easier. And, we come with a specific experience as fundraisers, myself personally, as well as Meredith. And we're going to walk you through that, as well as the automated tax receipts. And lastly, we'll tie everything up with email communications. I do want to let you know that the way that you can engage with me is through the chat. So please, if there's questions, if you have any insights, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm going to do my best to get through everything, but my incredible colleagues are on the chat and they're going to be able to answer any of your questions as they come up while I'm going through this. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is Keela. Welcome to it. I'm not going to spend too much time here on the dashboard. I want to jump right into the contact profiles. But I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite contacts. You may have seen this fella before. He's pretty popular. But what you might not know about Dwayne is he's also a huge supporter of my fake imaginary nonprofit. And why I wanted to show you the contact profiles is because of these two really powerful features right here: contact insights and recommendations. These are two things that you're not going to find in any other platform, as we built them specifically for Keela. And what the insights will allow you to do is to understand how engaged each of your contacts are on a daily basis. So when I speak to clients, they oftentimes know who their strongest supporters are. Who's your top donor? Who's coming to all of your events? Who's volunteering with you? Where donor scores really is a powerful tool is to identify those who are at risk of lapsing and who might need a little bit more love. And what Keela's donor scores allows you to do is to isolate those contacts so we can strategically communicate with those different segments of donors based on where they're at in donor scores. Now, our algorithm will take in information from your entire database. So regardless of if they're making donations, if they're clicking links on your emails, if you're having phone calls and logging those in Keela, or even if they're coming into your shop and volunteering. Donor scores will pick up on all of those touch points and provide you with a score that then you can use to understand how engaged they are. So you can strategically reach out to those who are at risk of lapsing. Because as we know in fundraising, it's a lot easier to re-engage an existing supporter than it is to capture a new one. And oftentimes it's a little bit cheaper as well. Now, you'll also identify that he's a recurring donor. We calculate if he's a major gift donor, but I really wanted to focus on this amazing tool here called Smart Ask. And this is one of our users' absolute favorite features in Keela, because what it allows you to do is to calculate suggested ask amounts based on past giving history. Now, what I hear all the time from fundraisers is that they have a hard time understanding how much to ask each one of their supporters and when. And that's why we built Smart Ask, because what it does is it takes their past giving history and provides you with suggested ask amounts. So a common use case for this is through email solicitation. Now, does anyone do email solicitation currently through tools like MailChimp or Constant Contact, or are y'all using something else? Feel free to add it into the chat just so I know what everyone's working with and I can tie it back to that. Now, Smart Ask is going to use Keela's data, so the data that you already have and are collecting through your system. And basically, when you move over, if you decide to move over to Keela, you can actually take advantage of our communication tool, which is built in, and oftentimes will replace the need for tools like MailChimp. I see some MailChimp users, Constant Contact, because it does everything that those platforms do, and a few extra features that I can't wait to show you about. So basically, Smart Ask, the use case is, I don't know how much to ask my donors through an email solicitation. Traditionally, in tools like MailChimp, you might have to create 5 to 100 different segments and send out targeted emails to those different lists. This takes both time, money, and specific knowledge about those different segments to ensure that everyone's going to be in the right grouping. Now, what Smart Ask does is it takes it away. So basically, you can send an email out that has this solicitation through a Keela form, and you can simply select Smart Ask on that form. And what Keela is going to then do is, if Doug, you say you're a $50 to $100 donor, and Kristen, you're a $1,000 to $5,000 donor, and I'm sending you an email solicitation with an ask through Keela's emailing tool using our forms. Doug, you're going to get a suggested ask amount. So the ask range is going to be between $50 and $100 for you. Whereas when Kirsten, when you open the same email from that same campaign, your suggested ask amounts are going to be between $1,000 and $5,000. So what this does is two things. It's allowing you to make the right ask every time while being very respectful of those different donor brackets. You don't want to over ask a small donor or under ask a large donor, but it's also going to increase your average gift size. And this is really important when you start to expand, or even if you're just looking to grow the number of donations from your existing base. For one of my clients over at One Message TV, they actually increased their average gift size by 250% using this Smart Ask tool. So it's a tried and proven tool that's using our AI and predictive analysis insights to actually drive revenue for you without making any major changes to strategies and programs that you already in place. This will supplement those existing platforms. Now, that is all on the profile. So Keela's calculating these things for you automatically. You do not have to do a thing here in Keela. Now, I do want to jump into the automation, as I understand that's why many of you are here. So let's go ahead and jump in. So automation is a great tool in Keela that's going to allow you to do a lot of things that generally suck up a lot of time, like creating donor journeys or sponsor a child or welcome series. How it works is you design the program. And what I always recommend to my clients is work backwards from the end to the starting point. What is the objective that we're trying to do here? In welcome series, maybe it's just to welcome them to the organization, show them why it's important that they supported your cause, maybe illustrate the impact that you're having on your community or whatever it is that you do. Now, off the top of your guys' head, is there anything that you'd like to see automated? Is it specific donor journeys? Is this a welcome series? Is this a volunteer welcome series? If you let me know, I can show you kind of specific example. I'm just going to do a broad and general overview here. But basically how it works is you decide the starting points. And where we differ from other automation tools that you may be familiar with is that we don't just use email opens and stats. You can trigger an automation from when a donor creates a recurring gift. So maybe this is a recurring welcome series. It could be if they complete a specific form or make a transaction of over a certain amount. So in the case of that, it could be maybe donors who make a donation of over $1,000 are automatically added to this special. Maybe there is a way that you segment your donors already, and everyone that's part of this segment gets this chain of emails that includes, a video welcome from your CEO, maybe an impact story. But what I know from fundraising is it's really important to engage your donors after they make a gift to reinforce the reason why, right? Keep their donors updated with all of the good that they're allowing you to do through that gift. And what automation does is it allows you to do that in a way that is both scalable and automated. So that if you add, 5,000 donors tomorrow, how does that affect your system? It shouldn't have to. And automation will ensure that you're able, regardless of how fast you're scaling up, that everyone is going to receive that same level of care, love, and touch points, regardless of how many contacts that you're adding to the top of funnel. Now, how it works is you basically just design this automated donor journey. So you can use time-based delays. You can wait for actions to actually trigger these next steps. You can even add tools to remind your staff. So maybe there's a to-do after we get a $10,000 gift for Jason to reach out and call that donor. Might be best practice. Hey, what inspired you to give today? How can we get you more involved? Did you know about these specific programs that we have? Would you like to sponsor one of them? Maybe it opens up a bigger conversation, and this just gives you a way that you can ensure that those touch points and next steps never fall between the cracks. So if anyone's responsible on your team for managing that, maybe your donor relations manager or your development team, you can add those to-dos to those specific contacts. Now, as we move down the workflow, you can see we have an if-else logic. So basically what that does is it splits the tree up based on these filters that you've assigned here. You can filter by any field in Keela that you're tracking. Maybe it's if they have a birth date coming up this month. Maybe it's if they're from, Los Angeles versus New York. It doesn't matter. And you can get as granular with these filters as you'd like. There's no limitation to them. And what that's going to do is it's going to specify who's going to the left and who's going to the right. So you can further customize those journeys within a journey. Now you can see here, we have this email. These are pre-populated emails that I built using our email communication tool. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but I do want to just show you how you can create time-based delays to keep these journeys going as long or as short as you'd like. So as we go down here, there's a question on one of these emails that asks, which is your preferred volunteering activity? They fill in one of these, they go to the right. If they fill in the left, they continue to go down this automated journey. So this tool is quite customizable. There's not a whole lot that you can't do with it, and it integrates with every other aspect of Keela. So regardless of if they're coming in from an email click, they made a donation, they joined the your recurring giving program. You can have all of those contacts automatically added to the workflow without you having to do a thing. All you have to do is set up the parameters and watch it run. You can also manually add contacts. Maybe you do have an event that once a year that you wanted to track, and you had someone gave you a big list of contacts. Hey, we really think you might benefit from reaching out to these contacts. Maybe what you can do is you can actually just manually enroll those contacts into the automation. So it doesn't have to be only from starting points. If you have a list and you're like, hey, Jason, I'd really love to be able to add these to my automated workflow, you can either tag them, add them to a segment, or manually enroll them here. So there's a ton of flexibility on how you can use this tool. And what a lot of my clients have seen a lot of success in is not only the welcome series, but also encouraging donors who've maybe given the first time to create a welcome series that ends with encouraging them to give on a recurring basis. And what's cool about Keela is all of our forms have been optimized to allow you to gently suggest to give on a monthly or recurring basis. And I'll show you how we do that in just a second here in the forms. But before I do, jump off automation, is there any other kind of automated workflows that people signed on to this webinar to see? I just want to make sure that I'm able to touch on that before we jump into forms. Another really interesting stat is another one of our clients called Love Quilt. They actually save on average 13 hours a week using this tool. So if you find yourself heavily vested in sending out emails, did this client get that specific email? Who is responsible for doing that? You can eliminate all of that frustration and angst through this tool, which we designed specifically for that. I see the chat is not buzzing, so I'm just going to keep going. I know I've got everyone for 45 minutes, and I want to make sure we're able to cover as much as possible. So let's jump right into forms. Forms is how we pass information from wherever your supporters are directly into Keela. We have 6 different form types to meet your needs, including cryptocurrency. Is anyone collecting crypto right now? Has anyone received an extremely generous donation from a donor through these digital coins? I'm super curious to know if you have, or if you're currently accepting crypto. Add it to the chat. Are you using BitPay? What does it look like? What's the biggest cryptocurrency that you've gotten? And if not, if you're curious to learn more, we can get into that as well. But I just wanted to really focus on one form type, and that's the donation form type. So why I wanted to show you these is because Keela donation forms are unlike any other. They are designed to be integrated directly into your website, whether you use Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy. We play nice with all websites. And how it works is basically you design this form off a template that we'll provide you with, and you can select everything to get customized here, from the copy on the form itself to the imaging to even the hex code on the button colors. And why I wanted to show you this specific form is because I love that they've added everything is super clean here. And I really wanted to show you this because as I mentioned earlier, all of the forms that Keela's designed have been optimized for recurring giving and to increase that recurring giving. And how that works here is, say I make a one-time gift of $100 and I hit donate. Keela will prompt your donors to actually make a monthly gift here. You can toggle this on or off as needed and experiment what works best with your base. But this is an incredibly powerful tool that's going to actually help you increase your recurring giving. Another one of my clients increased their recurring giving by 260% in their first year of using Keela forms. And this is how they did it. If you wanted to keep that one-time gift, you simply can. And all of our forms are optimized for Google browser or whatever browser that you're using. So you can see here, it's actually just going to fill in my information here. That's my actual email and phone number if you ever want to call me and talk about Keela. It's all right there. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. I'm not a computer designer. I am not a HTML coder. Don't worry, we've got you. We built Keela to be designed. Keela's been designed for the person who on your team who is the most reluctant to technology change, the one who doesn't feel comfortable using the internet. That's who we designed Keela for. Because at the end of the day, tools are only as powerful as those who are able to wield them. And a big part of our mantra here at Keela is empowering your team to do the work that they need to do every day without having to take night classes or go take a university level class to understand a piece of technology that's designed to take work off of your plate as opposed to create a make work project for you. So that's really, the bedrock of our design and how we've built every single feature in Keela is to be intuitive and easy to use. So you can pick this up and run with it today without having to wait 3 weeks for an external contractor with a minimum spend, right? That's not what we're here to do. So everything here can be customized according to the hex code styles. You can reorganize this as you see fit. All of our forms are optimized for mobile, so you can collect those donations on the go. We understand that tons and tons of web traffic now is coming from mobile. So having those forms that optimize for that is paramount to capturing that. Now, as I mentioned, everything on this form is customizable down to the intervals for those recurring gifts. So you can really get super customized and granular there. And Smart Ask is just the flick of a switch here. No complicated coding here. And what that does is it just disallows you to add suggested annual and monthly tiers here. If you don't want to use Smart Ask and you're just posting this on your website, you can come in here and actually edit each tier with a description here. That Smart Ask is just going to be that AI portion of the fundraising form that I know everyone was really excited to see. So I wanted to make sure that we're able to show you that. Now, all of your fundraising and responses will show up here within the form itself. And then we make it really, really easy for you to share these forms wherever your supporters are. We'll build you out a public link. You can create a QR code for each form, and you can even create an embedded button so that you can replace this on your website. The fastest that we've had a donation form up and running from registering with Keela is 1 hour. So I'm hoping that someone on this call will help me half that to half an hour, because I know it can be done. And if you're curious about our functionality, try scanning that QR code, and you'll be brought to that form immediately because this is a published form. You can also control how it's shared on both Facebook and Twitter. And you can even automatically tag contacts who fill in specific forms. This is really helpful for the, organizations that have volunteer applicants, and you need to review their application before they're an actual volunteer. So maybe you have that volunteer info gathering form. Anyone who fills in that form is a volunteer applicant. After you've had a chance to review it, now they're a volunteer. You can change the tag. That could also be a automated workflow for volunteer applicants. As soon as someone fills in this form, they get a tag added and then assigned to Jason to review their application. In 4 days, send them an email, yes or no. Another way that you can use automation to save you a little bit of time there. So that's forms. Another huge benefit of forms, and where we divert quite significantly from other vendors, is unlimited forms are included in every account. You can design as many forms as you like for a whole number of reasons. And what's really important is understanding what is resonating with your base and making data-informed fundraising decisions based on the actions taken. And what I mean by that is, if people are really responding well to recurring donations, maybe what you can do is double down on that language throughout, emails and your website to encourage that. So you can take the learnings that you've applied and you can actually apply the scientific method. If I, remove the transaction fees, how will that affect the overall donations? And another benefit of Keela is we don't charge any fundraising transaction platform fees to actually use this service. We partner with our preferred payment gateway partners because they have the lowest transaction fees, and we actually help you cover those fees directly in the form. So as you can see here on Zero Ceiling, we have that button here that actually allows you to pass those fees on to your supporters. And what we found through our research is between 60 and 70% of donors will actually opt in to cover their own fees when given the opportunity to do so. And for some of my clients who are really heavily vested in online fundraising, this fee savings alone helps significantly to pay for their annual investment of Keela. And in a couple of cases, has actually paid for it in its entirety. So what we're here to do is to reduce the road bumps and friction to converting your web traffic to donors, while also reducing the operational costs that you incur in fundraising online. So by doing both of those things, we're going to open the gates for more fundraising and decrease the fees that you may already be paying. So I encourage you all, if you haven't already, to find out what your payment processing fees are, who you're paying them to, and maybe what your current system is charging you to fundraise online using their platform. Because these are all numbers that do play into the factors of deciding your next system, and something that I recommend to all my clients to do a first step in just understanding that. Because by understanding that, you'll have a better idea of what you're actually paying for the system and how much they're taking off of your, off every donation. Okay, great. So that's forms. What payment processors do you connect to? Great question, Laurel. We integrate with Stripe, PayPal, and our very own payment gateway, Keela Pay. And yes, as Stefania mentioned, that's only available in the US. Don't worry, Canada, we are working diligently on launching that. You can connect all of your payment gateways up here. And BitPay, of course, that's our cryptocurrency one. Keela Pay is a really cool one because what it allows you to do outside of just collecting credit card donations is actually connecting ACH direct bank deposits for a flat rate of 75 cents. So what this means is, say you're recurring donations. If I lose my credit card, I now have to go and sign up again for your program. By connecting ACH to a recurring donation, your bank account doesn't expire. It might get overdrawn, but it doesn't expire, and you can't lose it in the back of a cab like I do at least once a year. So if you're really focused on getting a recurring program started, I would highly suggest exploring Keela Pay as an option because it's the most cost-effective way to collect donations digitally through Keela. Yeah, so that's Keela Pay. Great question. Yeah, so let's jump into communications. So this is this is a really popular tool in Keela. 9 out of 10 of my clients will opt in to use our platform for email communications, and I'm going to show you why right now. So how it works is you basically name your email. You can categorize your email as well. Let's say we're going to categorize this one as fundraising. You can also associate it with campaigns as well. As soon as you hit save, you're going to be able to select who this is going out to. Now, we use segmentation and tags to organize and label your contacts. Segments are lists that are constantly building themselves up based on factors that you feed in there. So it could be an example of a segment in Keela is who gave last year, but unfortunately not this year. Bunt is a common example that I created. Now, this isn't a query. So if you're familiar with other platforms, some of you might know queries. Queries are what we call filters in Keela. And basically with this segmentation tool, you can combine filters or queries to create lists that are constantly adding and removing contacts based on their activity. So you can also organize by tags, or you can send this out to all contacts. You can even choose to exclude any contacts that may not want to, you may want to exclude here. The common example is if I'm sending out a solicitation email, you might not want to send this to that person who just sent in a $10,000 check. You might want to send them a specific email or a handwritten letter thanking them for their existing donation. But you can also create segments based off tags and that kind of those filters as well. So let's say I'm going to send this out to my favorite segment, who gave last year, but unfortunately not this year. As soon as I hit save, you can see the 8 recipients here, and I can actually click through and see who is making up that list. Now, as soon as I scroll down here, you can select who this is from. So we have a direct integration with SendGrid. And what that means is it's going to allow you to send emails from your own domain address instead of this generic Keela one. Now, why I mention this is because this is a really helpful tool for 2 main reasons. The first is going to help you increase your open rate and deliverability rate. And the second, it's going to increase that click through because it's coming from that familiar email address that they've already understood. Now, you can select who the reply to is. Maybe this is coming from your ED, but your marketing manager is responsible for any reply to. You can add any subjects and attachments, of course, here. And then we have a bunch of templates here to help you get started. Many of my clients will use these templates as placeholders where they'll simply design and add their own content in here. It's super, super easy. I know I saw a bunch of people are using MailChimp. So it's very similar functionality where you drag and drop the content retainers and then you drag in the blocks of content. You can upload images from social. If you have a Dropbox account or a Google Drive, you can also link that there, but you can also just drag and drop them from your computer or desktop if you have that handy. Now, when another really neat tool about Keela and something that I absolutely love is smart codes. And this allows you to personalize and send out personalized emails at scale to all of your supporters. So whether you have 5 contacts or 50,000, you can address them how you want and make this personalization at scale. And what we've known from research, is most notably the M&R benchmarks, is that content that has personalization increases the average conversion rate. So the more that you can customize your solicitations and your personalization, hey, Jason, thanks for your most recent gift of X amount to this campaign, you're really making the person feel special, heard, and loved. And as a donor, that's what they want. And that's what we want. As a donor myself, I'm always looking to help my clients find ways that they can make this email feel like you wrote it just for me. And Keela's personalization and smart codes help you do just that. So we go beyond the standardized MailChimp codes right here, first name, last name, company, etc., to including donation amounts. So now you can send date of last donation, or if they supported a specific campaign or even impact area, you can add all of that information directly here in Keela. So now you can turn this email into a very personalized one. Another feature that I wish I had when I was in fundraising, and something that our clients absolutely love as well, is this donation summary. So what it allows you to do is create a personalized donation summary for between any two dates that you allot here for every single person who's receiving this email. So I have to ask everyone a question. As we're all in the nonprofit world, I'm sure people on this webinar have supported charities in the past years. My question to you is, have you ever received a personalized donation summary for any time frame? If you have, can you please comment in the chat below yes or no? And if you have, which organization did it? Because I'm almost certain they are going to be using Keela. Just because this personalization donation summaries are really, really challenging to do at scale. Okay, if you have 50 donors, you might be able to do it. It's going to take you a few weeks. You can see how easily I did that. I dragged and dropped the content block in here. This is going to change for every single donor. Now, let me paint you an imaginary email using Keela's tools. So remember how I'm sending this out to people who gave last year but haven't made a gift this year. So maybe what I want to do is, dear Jason, thank you so much for your gifts in 2022. You've been instrumental in helping us create X, Y, and Z impact in our community. We thought you might appreciate a complete donation summary over the past 5 calendar years. Thank you so much for your continued support. But wait, we noticed that you haven't made a gift yet in 2023. Would you consider clicking the button below and joining our recurring giving program so you don't forget to give again this year? And then what you can do is, since you can create an unlimited number of forms in Keela, you can link this donation form to a recurring form that only has recurring options, and gently nudging your clients who are still interested, but they might have just forgotten to give. These are perfect candidates for people to enter into your recurring giving program. Now, much like our forms, there's no custom branding on any of our emails or forms. We are a completely white labeled service. And as my colleague Meredith mentioned, we are a B Corp. And what that means is we're here to make your organization shine front and center. So Keela very much takes the back seat. You'll never see anything powered by Keela. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to push your brand and your mission forward. As soon as you like that template, you can save it. So next month that you come in and send out that solicitation, you can use that as a placeholder. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jason, I'm tracked on my email open rates and deliverability. That's what I show my boss. Don't worry, we got you covered. Keela also tracks that deliverability and open and click-through rate. And we actually take that a step further. Many of you are doing solicitation emails. I hear that all the time from my fundraising colleagues. And Keela's got your back. What we're doing here is we're actually added a return on investment calculator for your emails. So now you can say images of Jason holding up a pile of cute puppies is 20% more likely to convert our click-through to donations than Jason holding snakes. So I suppose that we get more puppies for the office to help drive fundraising. You have the data now. With Keela, you can make these data-informed decisions, and you can use your own data. We're not pulling from this imaginary pool. This is data that you're generating from your network that you can now take to your team and say, images, insert your hypothesis and test it through Keela. We really want to bring data-informed fundraising, but make it in a way that's accessible, that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars using a consultant or hyper expensive tools that no one on your team knows how to understand or to use. So that is really the beauty of this platform. And the majority of my clients will actually move over from MailChimp as a cost savings tool, because another benefit of Keela's email tool, unlimited email sends are included in every account. It does cost us money, but we never pass that on to our users. That's all included in the annual subscription investment of Keela. Now, I do want to leave about 5 minutes just to talk about questions. I see there's a bunch of questions in the system, and I'm going to do my best to get to them now. Yes, so Meredith, feel free to hop back in here.
Yeah, so thanks, Jason. I see we are just popping off with questions in the chat. Stefani's been trying to answer as many as they can. I promise if we don't get to them, we will reach out to you and answer your questions over email. So don't worry too much. But we have one here, Jason, that says, how does Keela handle non-donor contacts in the system? Is there a way to track non-donor emails and use the system for our general email list?
Sure. So within the contact profile, a donor and a contact is the same. We don't distinguish between donors and contacts because your pool of volunteers could be potential donors. And how we determine pricing here at Keela is based on the number of contacts that you have. So it's a scaling number. We're going to grow with you. And you can see here, you have a fundraising tab for every one of your contacts that shows all of their fundraising history. If there's no fundraising and they're just volunteering, you can also see that. And on the highlights here, you also do have these figures here. So you can identify. You can also use filters to filter out contacts who have never made a donation, and maybe you add them to an automation. Hey, we noticed that you've been a member of our community. Would you like to support us so we can grow our mission?
Amazing. Okay, we got a question from Ryan, which I think was related to when you were covering the email marketing part of Keela, but does the money raised include all donors who received the email, regardless if they donated through the link provided?
So so like that's how the tool works is this number is calculated based off of people who have clicked this donation link. So you have to include the form into the donation link, into the link in the email, because that's how we're tracking the success of the email. It ties it directly back to if you clicked the link in that email. So but an easy way to do this, Ryan, is you can create a custom form just for the email and post that nowhere else, so that you know that only people who fill in that email or fill in that form through the email have access to that form. So no one else can kind of fudge the numbers, so to speak, or give you inaccurate predictions there.
Okay, great. Olivia's asking if there are ways to track offline revenue.
Yes, 100%. So that's a huge, huge thing in Keela. You can track it on an individualized level, Olivia. So you can either come to fundraising. If Dwayne just sent me a check, you can log that here. We also have the ability to track in-kind gifts, securities, you name it. And then once you get through to this system, you can associate that to impact areas, campaigns, etc. Keela will generate that tax receipt for you. And and the tax receipt will also attach to the specific donor themselves, which we'll store there in case you ever need it in the future.
Okay, great. Sorry, they're coming in, so I'm just firing them at you here, Jason.
Yeah, sure.
Can we see a summary of where donations originated from, as in from email or social media, and maybe even get more granular by specific email?
So the specific email would be done. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So you can see when you have those donations where that came in from. You can also track it through the form. So yes, I think Celine. So how you would do it is you would actually do it through the form itself. So if you wanted to identify, okay, I want to isolate all of the social media fundraising, you would create a social media form, and then you can automatically tag those donors as they come in, so that you can run reports based off those tags. So you could create, say, a fall outreach campaign. I'm going to create a form for social media. I'm going to create an email specific form so I know where those channels are coming in from. And I'm also going to update my online form. So now you have 3 sources which you can tag independently, and using our built-in reporting and analytics tool, you can actually compare the success of those as well.
Amazing. We have a question from Karen. How about planned giving? Does Keela track those interactions as well?
Yeah, so you can log interactions here, and you can log those across the board. These are manual interactions. You can add the subjects and attachments, add a to-do with notifications and due dates here as well to ensure nothing falls between the cracks there. And yes, so for planned giving, you can track all of those interactions there. We also have the ability to track pledges, Karen. That might be especially helpful for you. Hey, I want to give $10,000 over 10 years. Okay, what's that payment schedule? Let's build out that pledge for you. And then you can actually track and report on those pledges directly in Keela as well.
Okay. Okay. We are at time. I still see some questions there. I do promise that we will reach out to you to answer those. But that concludes the demo today. So thank you, Jason, and thank you everybody for attending. If you are interested in learning more, we would love to chat with you and better understand kind of the unique goals and challenges of your organization and how Keela can help you solve them. So in the chat, Stephanie is going to put again the link to book just a quick one-to-one call with a member of our team. So we can help you and your organization specifically. So we would love to hear from you. And thank you again for attending today, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.